I like Black Ops 4. Yep, my COD Zombies card is going to get revoked, there's going to be an angry mob at my house with pitchforks and torches, and my console is going to blow up. To say the least, Black Ops 4 Zombies isn't really loved by the community all that much, and there's multiple reasons as to why that is, but I'm not going to get into any of them. Maybe it's because of me trying this game after hearing so many bad things about it, but I've recently have been getting into it and learning all of the maps, and so far I've learned how to play Blood, Voyage, and Alpha Omega. I've heard these maps are the worst out of the bunch, and I've been enjoying them, so I am confident I'm going to enjoy all the greats, such as Ancient Evil, TOG, and 9. However, now that I've gotten into Black Ops 4 Zombies, it's time that I learned about the Chaos story. After watching a multitude of videos explaining the story, I think I have a good knowledge of it. So for this video, I want to shed some light on the Chaos story and talk about its current predicament. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, after Ancient Evil left the story on a massive cliffhanger, fans were expecting it to be properly picked up in Black Ops 5 that we now know is called Black Ops Cold War. Then Jason Blundell left. Yeah, just like that. And from what some of the leaks suggest, it seems that plans for Chaos has been cancelled and fans of the story will never see a proper conclusion. Trust me, I know the feeling. So in this video, we're going to be discussing why fans were turned away from the story, if the story was any good in the first place, and what a continuation would look like. With that said, let's begin.
This is magic. Dark magic.
I'm just gonna come right out and say it. It makes perfect sense as to why the story wasn't liked by most fans. Right from the start, this story had everything going against it. For starters, when the game first came out, the launch was a mess of constant blue screens and bugs.
If they aren't in those two spots, I have no idea.
Dude. Oh my gosh! Where is it? Where's the controller?
Where is it?
It's the broke one.
Even though the game got fixed later on, by then most people had already reverted back to Black Ops 3 or some other popular AAA shooter at the time, so that's less people even playing the mode, let alone giving a crap about the story of Chaos. And plus, this launch kinda ruined any chance this game had of mass player investment due to it earning a bad rep from the start. And you know how COD fans are, they hate whatever is new, so this game also got shredded by a majority of the fan base, most of which I probably have never even played the game before. I was kinda guilty of this as well. Keep in mind that this game is literally the launch of this entirely new storyline, so to say it flatly, due to the game's poor reception, people just didn't care enough to get invested in an entirely new story. And there's also another problem that doomed the story from the start as well. This story was sharing a game with the Ether storyline. You know, the main storyline fans of the series have spent 11 years caring about and getting invested in. There's a likely chance that this was some sort of decision made for behind the scene business, but this was such a terrible decision. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad Ether was featured in this game and we got a proper ending instead of whatever that mess Revelations left us with was. But no one was going to give a crap about this story. It's like having a DVD bundle with some random movie no one has ever heard of in the same case as Avengers Endgame. Jeez, I wonder which movie is going to be watched first. We haven't even talked about this story yet, and already this story was doomed to fail, but that's only the half of it. The third reason is the fact that this story was told in such a messy order. Voyage and 9 made their debut on Black Ops 4's launch, and no one even knew which map came out first until the Voyage Easter egg was solved. Not only that, but these maps don't feel like the start of a story, they feel like the middle of one, with the characters making a bunch of references to past events with no context, and having things happen without any explanation. And then it turns out this was the middle of the story, and Dead of the Night released as DLC 1. However, it turns out that Dead of the Night was originally supposed to be a default map and 9 was going to be DLC 1. But this map got pushed back due to celebrities not being able to record their lines in time for the game's launch, and then there's comics that are later released that explain the entire setup of the story. Yep, the thing that explains the setup and significance of the Chaos storyline is a comic that I bet barely anyone read. By the time Ancient Evil came out, the game was already dead and only a select few gave a crap about the story anymore. And the last reason as to why I think the story failed is because it throws so much crap at you in the first 4 maps. There's so much information you're expected to know and pick up on, and unless you read the comic or watched the YouTube video, you're going to have no idea as to what is going on. Hey, why does that sound familiar? I know it's unfair to compare Chaos with Ether, but I just want to use this one example. In the Ether story, it starts you off in a bunker and you have to fend off zombies with absolutely no context given. However, as the series progresses, each map slowly gives you new info and mysteries until it all builds up to form an incredibly complex story. Imagine starting up Noct for the very first time after completing the Red at War campaign and you had Samantha as an announcer, the Shadow Man, Zombie Richtofen as a sub-boss, 4 characters with incredibly complex backgrounds, multiple radios detailing events that use words and phrases you never heard of before, and Dr. Monty singing opera in the sky. Your mind would be so fried from the multiple things the map expects you to learn that you just wouldn't care. That's what the Chaos story feels like. It throws so much new information at you every 5 seconds that no one has time to get invested enough to even try to learn anything. Only curious fans like myself who are obsessed over this stuff would care to learn. So yeah, now you understand why this story flopped so hard. But that raises the question, is the Chaos story good? Does it have any promise? Well, if you take this story and judge it in the order of the events that happen as opposed in the order they were conveyed to us in, then yeah, it's pretty good. I guess I'll start with the characters. Note that I've only played Voyage, so I've only experienced how these characters have acted on that map specifically, but I can safely say they're alright so far. My favorite so far is Diego. There's something about a charming, adventurous person who's always chill in heated situations that I've always liked. Second is Bruno. Nothing much to say about him. He has a likably clueless sense of humor and he likes punching things. Yeah, he's alright in my book. Third is Scarlet. Yeah, she is kind of annoying with her constant negative remarks towards the situation and her allies, but she has the most plot significance out of the 4, which puts her slightly above Shaw, who's an okay character, but he's not that interesting. These 4 are an okay cast of characters, and even if they have flaws, they're still better than Victus. To be honest, anything is kinda better than Victus. But that's only the characters, and while I do think characters are the most important part of any story, every COD zombie story has had intriguing lore and impressive world building, and Chaos is no exception. While I do think it shoves too much in your face in the first couple of maps, the material they shove in your face is still good material. The Order is such a strong group of antagonists. They're calculating, intimidating, despite not seeing them in action very often. Not only that, but the setup to the Chaos story that's established in the comic is pretty intriguing and does a nice job at establishing the who, what, and why. And the story also has plenty of jaw-dropping moments that people underappreciated due to the fact that no one knew what the heck was happening. Bruno being a cult member due to his survival by the Scepter? Awesome. Godfrey undergoing the same fate and slaughtering all the Dead of the Night characters? Even more awesome. The reveal that Alistair was turned to stone and the Oracle being Medusa in disguise this entire time? Insane. Bruno stabbing Shaw and turning him into a cult member? Absolutely insane. See, this story is engaging and can be interesting if you're willing to do a great deal of research. Sound familiar? This story is actually pretty strong and delivers in a lot of areas, but what would a continuation be if one is really necessary in the first place? Well, it'd obviously take place at the Ancient Evil and there'd be multiple things that have to be explained. Like, what the heck is Medusa doing here, and what information did she take from Scarlet, and what does she want? And also, what the heck are the characters going to do now? Now that Alistair is a rock, are they going to find some way to save him? Will they try to stop the Order? What's going to happen next? And plus, if the story were to be continued, things would start off immediately intense. Half the squad are now cult members, Scarlet would probably have a hard time accepting her father's death, and the Order is still 5 steps ahead of the team. The cliffhanger in Ancient Evil is tragic because it really does set up so much for a sequel and there's so many things that can be explored. Not only that, but there's also the matter of what possible new maps could there be. I know what I am about to say is about to be somewhat controversial, but the Chaos story has the best variety in terms of map setting I've ever seen, in my personal opinion. Second to the King IW, of course. I know that the Ether story has a great deal of variety of their settings as well, but it's not until Black Ops 2 where we get some cool map settings, and it's not until Black Ops 3 where things get insane. But Chaos just jumps the shark more than any previous zombie season. You go from battling zombies in a sinking Titanic to a huge coliseum to a giant mansion loaded with freaking werewolves to an entire underground Greek city. City, not town. I saw you guys going to the comments. This variety in setting really does give Chaos such a grand sense of adventure, and there's so much they could do with a sequel, especially since there's so much Greek influence in the storyline. So not only would a Chaos continuation bring so much cool subplots to tackle storyline-wise, but gameplay-wise, there's so much they could do, similar to what an Infinite Warfare continuation would look like. But then they made this Snorefest. So to answer the title of this video, yes, I think Chaos deserves to be continued, as unlikely as it may be. While it got off to a really messy start and was told in a really disjointed way, while also sharing a game with the conclusion of the Ether storyline, there's so much promise to this story that constantly gets overlooked, and I think that if it received a continuation that took things a little more slow and was featured in a game that maybe wasn't absolutely despised, then people would probably learn to appreciate it. I don't know, it seems very unlikely, but there's always hope. But what do you guys think about the Chaos story? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Consider leaving a like and subscribing, because all of us at Apothicon Overlords would really appreciate it. Anyways, I will see you guys next week. Peace, everyone.